Scavengers' reign is really damn good. Favorite show or really piece of media within this year of 2023. Among my favorites, period. I could really go on about what I dig about the show. Just so much rich creativity. However, I figured I'd focus on a specific character. Spoilers for the show, especially towards the end. I don't usually even give out spoiler warnings, but I like this show enough to have it here. So anyway, the most powerful character in the whole series, Levi, specifically towards the end after her resurrection. Now, overall power scaling is really hard within this series, since there are just so many bizarre facets within the show, with an unknown factor within every corner. Mind controls amok, slimy things commence. However, Levi sticks out in particular due to tapping the greater consciousness of a planet. Now, I'm not an ecological expert. I hope to leave that open to someone who knows more of their stuff, because this show is just ripe with ecological facets. However, something that's kind of apparent is everything is sort of connected. We have a lot of the same weird everywhere. There's this recurrent flower after specific organisms die. How everything can be used in a specific situation. Who knows if it ties more into plants or fungus or bacteria. Really popular year for fungus. And then there is everything of Levi. Now she was a basic AI robot Levi bot who was just smitten with this weird sort of mold within her circuitry, which results in her doing a bunch of weird stuff that off-puts Ozzy. There's generally a lot of weird AI paranoid these days, and it's not just that she's a robot. It's the mold stuff in particular that changed things, which, kind of calls into question, what if there's some unknown factor infecting our AI? Anyway, kind of seems like a child. Has a lot of innocent intention and doesn't wish to go against Ozzy. She even lets Ozzy do things to her, often regretfully so, like turning off defensive protocols, which who wouldn't in this situation? However, eventually Ozzy and Levi end up bonding, with Ozzy even starting to recognize more of a soul within Levi. However, it all changes when Hollow rips her apart, reducing her to nothing but shreds and screws. It even hurts. Eventually there are a few episodes where Levi's off the map. Ozzy's with a different band of humans which, ironically enough, don't feel as connectable as the robot. However, incredibly, revealed a few episodes later, despite being reduced to basically nothing, he ends up being put together by the organisms of a planet, which further proves the greater consciousness, leading her to further delve into her scientific inquiries. However, despite being peaceful for Garden, he does end up saving Ozzy after being pinned down by the hollowest hollow. Boom, here comes Levi, grander than ever. He's even fuzzy now, for hugs. Now, facing off against another powerhouse, I figured I'd talk of other force that Levi must face. Turns out I'm going to be talking about two forces. Now, it's worth noting that towards the beginning, we see this alien species as simple tree dwellers. They generally aren't that ambitious, and that our little Hollow turned out to be a little outlier. We see in a situation where he tries to abuse his mental abilities, getting to try things to work for him. An older, sturdier beast makes him back down. Little fact about domesticated animals. In the wild, cats don't normally meow, and dogs don't normally bark. These are attributes attributed to younger versions of species, to get parents to care for them. However, seemingly through domestication, it seems that these younger attributes are brought to the forefront, to get the humans' attention, and it works. It's kind of a similar situation with Hollow. Maybe the ambitiousness isn't normally beneficial for a older tree beast. However, he ends up seeing a new angle when he ends up meeting Cayman, and basically ends up feeding off his grief. The mechanisms of a hollow beast are a little particular, because it seems like he feeds off a specific emotion, and there's even some contemplation of whether his consciousness is almost merged with Cayman's, especially when he rests next to his dead wife's body. The part where he kills Levi is sort of interesting, because maybe Hollow doesn't like mechanical robots, which could have been used against his otherwise very powerful species. However, there's also the fact she has Fiona's voice, which Cayman could have liked and maybe even use it to help heal. However, Hollow squandered that chance, so she wouldn't be a threat to him. I think something interesting with Hollow is that ultimately, it kind of shows that not all animals are these selfless beings that only kill for food, and humans are the only bad animal. There is such a thing as cats playing for food. Animals can be wasteful. And even Hollow, from when he's small to when Cayman's inside of him, does feel like an animal. Regardless of whether it's more Hollow or more Cayman, they are sort of deviant from this natural state of this planet altogether, being a force that's pretty much for themselves and way too powerful. Which is where Levi Resurrected comes in. It isn't much of a fight. Hollow pretty much just came in charging. Levi pushes back, with the help of Ozzy behind her. Actually a good callback to the first episode, where she did a similar move more selfishly then, but now it's more heroic. Hollow tried to use the goo thing that he did back with Cayman on Levi. However, she just said no you and pushed back against Hall's control, with what I could only be described as the force of the universe. We see the two forces clash into each other, and then a series of sparks, showing the universe, the planet, evolution, a series of clips throughout the show from life to decay. Whatever Levi did to them, just shreds him. Reduces the giant hollow monster to just Cayman and a little hollow, all curled up. Later the little thing scurrying away while Cayman recovers. This is overall a really interesting clash of two very powerful forces, and in the end of the day, Levi remains supreme. I'm all for another season where we end up learning more of the secrets of this world, though I am very satisfied with what we have now. There's a lot more I could go on about this show, and its bounds with imagination. I recalled when Primal first came out, no one really talked of it, then everyone talked of it, and I could really see the same with this show. It's sort of similar to Primal, but now characters could talk. Overall, I just really like this show. Curious whatever people think. They're a good subreddit for this show. Anyway, cheers.